first topic ng factoring sa first quarter is how to find the greatest common monomial factor. But before that, let's first define what is the term monomial. According to the definition, monomial is an algebraic expression that consists of one term. So from the word mono, only one. And let's define also the term binomial. Binomial from the word bi, so it means two. So binomial is an algebraic expression that consists of two terms. And the last one is the term trinomial. So tri, it means three. So it is an algebraic expression that consists of three terms. To find the greatest common monomial factor, we have to follow these three steps. First step is factor each term completely. And the second step is find all factors are in common. So it means the same in all terms. The third step is pull out the GCF or the greatest common factor, then divide every term by it. For our example, we have here 3x squared plus 6x. So this is a binomial. Why? Because we have two terms. We have the first term, 3x squared, and our second term is 6x. Okay, so let's follow those three steps on how to find the greatest common factor. Our first term is 3x squared, and our second term is 6x. So first step is factor each term completely. But before that, let's define also the three important terms in how to find the greatest common factor. First term is the word greatest. Pag sinabi natin greatest, it means largest or the biggest number. And the second term is the word common. Common means shared. Kung ano ang meron sa first term, dapat meron din si second term. So shared, that is the definition of the word common. And the last term is the word factor. Means factored piece. So, kumbaga, hinati natin to each term. Hati-hatiin mo natin. So, piece by piece. First step is factor each term completely. So, what is the factor of 3x squared? Okay, so 3x squared. So 3x squared is, we can express this one into this. So 3x squared is 3 times x times x, right? So 3 times x is 3x. Then 3x times x is 3x squared. So this is the factored form for the first term. And then for the second term, we have 6x. So the factor of 6 is 3 times 2 or 2 times 3. Then times x. So 3 times 2 is 6 times x. So 6x. So that's the first step. Now for the second step, hahanapin po natin yung common nila. Sa first term, meron tayong 3. Right? And for the second term, we have also this 3. And the first term also has an x. And the second term also has also an x. So ano pang meron? Yung x sa first term, di ba wala na sa second term? Walang x na extra x sa second term. Tapos, yung 2 kay second term, hindi yan common kay first term kasi wala yan kay first term. So, only 3 and x. Okay, so for the third step, pull out the GCF or the greatest common factor. So, for this given example, our GCF is 3 and x. So, common si 3 at saka common si x. So, our GCF is 3x. And, sabi sa third step na pull out the GCF and divide everything by it. So, it means ilalabas natin si 3x kasi this is our GCF. And, we will write this one here. So, 3x squared plus 6x. Diba? Then, we will divide everything by our GCF. So, 3x squared divided by 3x, which is our GCF. 6x is divided by 3x, our GCF. So, simplify. So, we have 3x. So, 3 divide 3. X divide x. Dalawang x sa taas. So, meron pang isang natira. Then, sa kabila, we have 6 divide 3. So, 2. And x divide x. So, wala na. So, ang natitira ay, ano na? We have x. We have only one x here. Plus 2. So, this is now our answer. And to check this one, so 3x times x, so that is 3x squared. Then 3x times 2, so that is plus 3x times 2 is 6x. Okay, so that is our answer. For our next example, we have here 5x squared minus 15x. So first step, factor each term completely. So we have a binomial kasi dalawang terms. So factor each term completely. So our first term is 5x squared and our second term is 15x. 5x squared is, we can express this one into this one, 5 times x times x. So that is 5 times x, that is 5x, then 5x times x is 5x squared. Then minus 15. So ano ba ang factor ni 15? So 15 is, we can express this one as 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Then times x. So 5 times 3 is 15 times x, or 15 times x is 15x. Find the common. So hahanapin po natin kung ano yung common sa kanilang dalawa. So in our first term, we have here 5 and we have also 5 the second term. We have also x and also x in our second term. And another x, pero wala nang ibang x sa second term. Only the first term. And we have also 3 sa second term, pero walang 3 sa first term. So our GCF, or the greatest common factor, is 5x. So the third step is pull out the GCF and then divide everything by it. So we'll pull out the GCF, which is 5x. And then we'll write this one. So we have 5x squared minus 15x. Then we'll divide everything by our GCF, which is 5x. 5x. 5x times 5x squared divide 5x. So 5 divide 5. Then we have x squared here. X, so may natitira pang isa. Tapos 15 divide 5 is 3. And we have also x. And also x on the denominator. So ang natira is 1x here minus 3. So this is now our answer. And to check this one, 5x times x minus 3. So to check kung tama ba po yung answer natin, so we'll multiply this GCF to this one right there. So 5x times x, so that is 5x squared. Then 5x times negative 3, that is negative 15x. So that's it. For our third and last example, we have 4x squared plus 6x plus 8. So this is a trinomial kasi tatlong terms. So we have our first term, 4x squared, and our second term is 6x, and our last term or the third term is 8. So first step, we will factor each term completely. Okay, so what is the factor of our first term? 4x squared. So 4x squared is, we can express this one into this one. 2 times 2 times x times x. So 2 times 2 is 4 times x, that is 4x, times another x, so that is 4x squared. Plus our second term is 6x. So we can express that one into this one. 3 times 2 times x. So 3 times 2 is 6 times x is 6x. Then the last term, our third term, is 8. So 8 is 4 times 2, or 2 times 4. Then we will go to our second step. Our second step is find the common. Okay, so kung makikita natin sa first term, we have 2. Meron ding 2 si second term. Meron ding 2 si third term. So merong isang 2 sa first term, pero wala nang ibang 2 si second term at saka si last term. May x si first term, may x si second term, pero walang x si third term. So walang common sa kanilang tatlo. Then another x si first term, pero wala nang ibang x si second term, saka kay last term. So third step, pull out the GCF. So our GCF here is, anong common sa kanilang tatlo? Sa tatlong terms, 2. So labas natin si 2. Pull out the GCF, then we will write this one here. So 4x squared plus 6x plus 8. Then we will divide everything by our GCF, which is 2. Divide by 2. So simplify. 4 divide 2. So that is 2. So x squared is still the same. So 2x squared plus 6 divide 2, that is 3. And x is still the same. And 8 divide 2 is 4. So our answer is this one. So to check kung tama ba yung answer natin, we will multiply this one. So 2 times 2x squared, so that is 4x squared. 2 times 3x, so that is plus 6x. Then 2 times 4, so that is 8. Okay, so tama po yung answer natin. Okay, so factoring sum and difference of cubes. This is for the grade 8 mathematics first quarter. So in factoring sum and difference of cubes, we must remember these two special formula. So for the sum of cubes, we have a cube plus b cube is equals to quantity a plus b times quantity a squared minus ab plus b squared. And for the difference of cubes, we have a cube minus b cube is equals to quantity a minus b times quantity a squared plus ab plus b squared. So kung makikita nyo yung formula, they only differ on the middle term of their trinomial factor. For the sum of cubes, minus ab, and for the difference of cubes, plus ab. Pero bago po tayo mag-proceed sa ating example, let us first define what is cube root. Cube root is a special value if we multiply a certain number 3 times. Kumbaga, kung merong isang number, i-multiply po natin yung 3 times. So, yan po. Yan mo tinatawag na cube root. So, example, we have 2 cube. So, i-multiply natin si 2 3 times. So, 2 times 2 times 2. The result is 8. Therefore, the cube root of 8 is 2. And second example, we have 3 cube. I-multiply natin si 3 3 times. So, we have 3 times 3 times 3 equals to 27. So, the cube root of 27 is 3. So, in solving factoring sum and difference of cubes, we have to follow these 3 steps. So, for step number 1, get the cube root of each term. The result will be your binomial factor. Okay, for our example, we have x cubed plus 8. So, ito po yung given natin. So, sum of cubes. So, step 1 says, get the cube root of each term. So, may dalawang term po tayo. First term is x cubed. Second term is 8. So, kunin natin yung cube root ng x cubed. So, the cube root of x cubed is x. Kasi minultiply natin si x 3 times. So, x times x, that is x cubed. Therefore, the cube root of x cubed is x. And for the cube root of 8 is 2. Kasi 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. Therefore, the cube root of 8 is 2. So, ito na po yung binomial factor natin, yung kulay pula. Yan, dito po yun. So, let's go to step number 2. Step number 2 says, square each term of step 1. The result will be the first and third term of your trinomial factor. So, nakuha natin yung binomial factor, itong kulay pula. So, i-square po natin yun isa-isa. So, from step 1, cube root of x cubed is x. So, if we square x, the result is x squared. So, ito po yung magiging first term natin sa ating trinomial factor. So, kung makikita nyo dito, ito yung first term, x squared. From step 1, cube root of 8 is 2. So, if we square 2, that is 2 times 2, the result is 4. So, ito po yung third term po natin dito sa ating trinomial factor. So, the only missing now is the middle term. So, let's go to step number 3. Step number 3 says here, get the product of the binomial factor in step 1. And the result will be the middle term of your trinomial factor. So, from our step 1, ito po yung binomial factor natin, x plus 2. So, get the product. So, we will multiply x to 2. So, x times 2 is equals to 2x. So, this will be our middle term, but the sign is negative. Why? Kung babalikan natin yung special formula ng sum of cubes, ito yon. Yung middle term niya is negative AB. So, therefore, this is negative 2x. Okay? So, this is now our trinomial factor. So, therefore, our final answer is the factor of x cubed plus 8, which is our sum of cubes, is quantity x plus 2 times the quantity x squared minus 2x plus 4. Now, let's check kung tama ba po yung sagot natin. So, to check that one, we will use the distributive property multiplication. So, we will multiply this binomial factor isa-isa dun sa trinomial factor po natin. So, ito yung binomial factor natin kulay pula. Yung trinomial factor natin kulay asul. So, isa-isa. So, let's multiply. So, x times x squared. The result is x cubed. Then, x times 2x, the result is 2x squared. But, minus or negative kasi ito. Minus 2x kasi ito. So, naging negative 2x squared. Then, x times 4, the result is 4x, positive. Next, 2 times x squared. So, this is positive 2 and this is positive x squared. So, therefore, plus 2x. Then, 2 times negative 2x, the result is negative 4x. Then, 2 times 4. Both positive. Therefore, the result is positive 8. So, kung nakikita nyo dito, meron akong kinulayan, green, at saka orange. So, sila po yung mga like terms. So, we have like terms here, 2x squared. Meron din 2x squared dito. The only difference is yung isa negative, yung isa positive. Therefore, magiging 0 or makancel po natin. Meron pong isa dito, positive 4x. Meron din isa dito, negative 4x. So, what will happen? Magiging 0 or makancel po natin. Therefore, ang maiiwan ay ito, x cubed plus 8. So, bumalik po tayo doon sa original equation. So, it means, tama po yung sagot natin na ang factor ng x cubed plus 8 is quantity x plus 2 times quantity x squared minus 2x plus 4. So, let's go to our next example. Our next example is here. We have 125a cubed minus 1. So, this is now a difference of cubes. Kasi nakikita natin dito yung operation na subtraction or minus na sign. So, for our special formula, ito po yung gagamitin natin. A cubed minus b cubed is equals to quantity a minus b times quantity a squared plus ab plus b squared. So, first step, get the cube root each term. Diba? Yan yung step 1. So, kunin natin yung cube root ni 125a cube. The cube root of 125a cube is 5a. Para lang natin minultiply si 5a 3 times. So, 5a times 5a times 5a. So, the result is 125a cube. And the cube root of 1 is still 1. We multiplied 1 3 times. So, any number multiplied by 1. So, still the same. 1. 1 pa din to kasi 1 times 1 is 1. O another 1 times 1. So, still 1. So, ito po yung binomial factor po natin. For our step 2, i-square po natin yung binomial factor natin na nakuha sa step 1. So, our first term sa step 1 is 5a, yung binomial factor natin. If we get the square of 5a, magiging 25a squared. So, that's 5a times 5a. So, the result is 25a squared. So, this will be our first term. And for our third term, i-square natin si 1. So, if we square 1, 1 times 1, the result is still 1. Ito po. So, our missing now is the middle term. So, for step 3, get the product of the binomial factor from step 1. So, multiply natin si 5a to 1. So, 5a times 1. So, the result is 5a. So, ito po yung middle term natin. Bakit po plus 5a or positive 5a? Dahil, kung babalikan natin special formula, yung middle term ng trinomial factor ng difference of cubes is plus AB. So therefore, this is plus 5A. So our answer is the factor of 125A cubed minus 1 is equals to quantity 5A minus 1 times quantity 25A squared plus 5A plus 1. So let's check kung tama ba po yung sagot natin. To check that one, we will use the distributive property of multiplication. So we will multiply this binomial factor isa-isa doon sa trinomial factor po natin. So let's start from here. 5A multiplied to, or 5A times 25A squared. So ang sagot ay 125 cube. Then 5A times 5A is equals to 25A squared. So this is positive 5A and positive 5A. Then 5A times 1, the result is plus 5A because 5A is positive and 1 is positive. Next, we have 1 times 25A squared. So this is negative 1 and this is positive 25A squared. So the result is negative 25A squared. Next, we have negative 1 times positive 5A. So the result is negative 5A. And we have negative 1 times positive 1. The result is negative 1. So we have here same, or we have here like terms, kulay green at saka kulay orange. So we have positive 25A squared and negative 25A squared. So magiging 0 or makancel po natin. And we have also positive A minus 5A. So magiging 0 or makancel po. So yung natitira is 125A cubed minus 1. So bumalik po tayo doon sa original equation. So therefore tama po yung sagot natin na ang factor ng 125A cubed minus 1 is equals to quantity 5A minus 1 times quantity 25A squared plus 5A plus 1. So, factoring the difference of two squares. According to the definition, an algebraic term is a perfect square when the numerical coefficient, the number in front of the variable, is a perfect square and the exponents of each of the variables are even number. Once we say numerical coefficient, so it means it is the number in front of the variable. For example, I have 2 or I have 4x squared. So 4 is our numerical coefficient and x is our variable. And the definition says that the exponents of each of the variables are even number. So 4x squared. So 4 is a perfect square, and that is the numerical coefficient in front of our variable x, and the exponent is 2, an even number. According to the definition, if two terms in a binomial are perfect squares separated by subtraction, then you can factor them. To factor the difference of two perfect squares, remember this rule. First, if we subtract separates two squared terms, then the sum and difference of two square roots factor the binomial. For example, like this one, I have this a squared minus b squared. So the factor of a squared minus b squared, because this is a difference of two squares, is a plus b times a minus b, the sum and difference. In factoring the difference of two squares, we have to follow these two steps. First step is find the square roots of the two terms that are perfect square. And the second step is write the factorization as the sum and difference of the square roots. For example, I have this expression or algebraic expression, 9x squared minus 16. So 9x squared minus 16 is a binomial. Why? Because we have two terms, binomial. Our first term is 9x squared and our second term is 16. And we can say that 9x squared minus 16, difference of two squares. Because our first term is a perfect square, our second term is a perfect square, and separated by a subtraction or a minus sign. Okay, so we can say that 9x squared is a perfect square, our first term, because 9 is the product of 3 square, or 3 times 3. And the variable x has an exponent of 2, which is an even number. And for the second term, which is 16, is also a perfect square, because 16 is the product of 4 square. or 4 times 4. Okay, so now, first step, find the square roots of the two terms that are perfect squares. So now, what is the square root of 9x squared? We know that 9 is the product of 3 times 3, or 3 square. So therefore, the square root of 9 is 3. Okay, 3. And x squared is a perfect square also, because the exponent of our variable x is 2. It's a product of x times x, so x squared. So therefore, the square root of x squared is x. And for our second term, which is 16, the square root of 16 is 4, because it is a product of 4 squared, or 4 times 4. So we can now proceed to step number 2, kasi nakuha na po natin yung square root ng first term at saka square root ng second term. So step number 2 says that write the factorization as the sum and difference of the square roots. So the square root of first term is 3x, and the square root of our second term is 4. So write the factorization of sum and difference. So therefore, we write this one into this form. We have 3x, 4, 3x, then 4. This one is sum, and this one is the difference. So the factor of 9x squared minus 16 is 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 4. So this is now our answer. Okay, so this is our answer. 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 4. So to check kung tama po ang ating answer, so let us use the FOIL method. So F stands for first terms, O is for the outer terms, and I is for the inner terms, and L is for the last terms. Okay, so F, first term. So our first term here is 3x, and we have also first term here, so 3x. So we have to multiply the first term. 3x times 3x is equals to 9x squared. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. O, outer terms. So for this part here, our outer term is 3x, and for this part also here, our outer term is 4. So we have to multiply this one, 3x times 4. So 3x times 4, 3 times 4 is 12, and this is negative, so that's negative 12, then x. And for the I, the inner terms, so for this part here, our inner term is 4, and for this part here also is our inner term is 3x. So we have to multiply this one, 4 times 3x. So 4 times 3 is 12. Then we have an x, so that is 12x, positive, because 4 is a positive 1, and 3x is a positive. So therefore, plus 12x, and L, last terms. For this part here, our last term is 4. And for this part here, our last term is negative 4. Okay, so we have to multiply this one, positive 4 times the negative 4. Always remember that if we multiply different signs, like this one, positive multiplied by a negative number, the result is negative. So therefore, positive 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Okay, simplify. We have 9x squared. So we have like terms here, negative 12x and positive 12x. So what will happen? Yes, cancel. And the remaining here is negative 16. So therefore, this is our original expression, 9x squared minus 16. So therefore, yung sagot po natin na 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 4 is correct. Kasi pag ginamitan po natin ang FOIL method, babalik siya sa original expression. For our next example, we have x squared minus 9. So this is a difference of two squares. Because our first term is a perfect square, x squared, product of x times x. And our second term is 9, product of 3 times 3. And this is a difference of two squares. Look at the sign here, at the middle. Subtraction or the minus sign. Okay, first step, find the square roots of the two terms that are perfect squares. So, let us first find the square root of our first term, which is x squared. So we know that x squared is a product of x times x, or x squared. x times x. So therefore, the square root of x squared is x. And 9 is the product of 3 squared, or 3 times 3. So therefore, the square root of 9 is 3. So second step, write the factorization as the sum and difference of the square roots. So, ang mangyari po dyan ay maging ganito. So, x, 3, sum, and x, 3, difference. Sum and difference of the square roots. Because this is our square root. Square root of the first term and square root of the second term. So, this is now our answer. So, to check this one, kung tama po ba yung answer natin, again, we will use the FOIL method. F stands for first terms, O is for the outer terms, and I is for the inner terms, and L is for the last terms. Okay, so for this part here, our first term is x. For this part also here, our first term is x. So we will multiply x to this one, x times x. So x times x is x squared. O, outer terms. So for this part here, our outer term is x. And for this part here, our outer term is 3. So let's multiply x to 3. So x times 3, this is negative 3, this is positive x. So therefore, negative 3x. I, inner terms. So for this part here, our inner term is 3. And for this part here, our inner term is x. So therefore, let's multiply 3 to x. So 3 times x. This is positive, this is positive. So the result is plus 3x. And L is for the last terms. For this part here, our last term is 3. And for this part here, our last term is 3. So therefore, let us multiply 3 to this, another 3. This is positive 3, this is negative 3. So, negative 3 or positive 3 multiplied by negative 3, the result is negative. Yes, negative 9. Simplify. We have like terms here, 3x. But the other one is negative and the other one is positive. So therefore, yes, cancel. And ano ang natira? X squared minus 9. So this is our original expression. So therefore, yung answer po natin na x plus 3 times x minus 3 is correct.
Factoring perfect square trinomials. This is for the grade 8 mathematics, first quarter. So let's define first what is a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial is an expression obtained if you square a binomial equation. For example, we have this one, a binomial, quantity x plus 5 square. If we expand this one, the result is a perfect square trinomial. And always remember that if we have this binomial, for example, this one, quantity x plus 5 square, pareho lang sila nito. Itong x plus 5, quantity x plus 5 times quantity x plus 5. Kumbaga, minultiply mo lang yung x plus 5 twice. So, ito po siya. And the result of this one, if we distribute this one or we expand this one, the result is a perfect square trinomial. In factoring perfect square trinomials, we have to remember these two special formula. First, we have quantity a plus b square is equals to a square plus 2ab plus b square. And the second one is quantity a minus b square is equals to a square minus 2ab plus b square. And note, the middle term is twice the product of the binomial's first and last terms. So kung makikita nyo yung middle term nila, doon lang sila nag-differ sa sign. Yung isa, positive 2ab, yung isa, negative 2ab. At meron itong dalawang situation. Okay? Pag binigyan ka ng ganito, or a square of binomial, ang resulta po is ito. Pag i-distribute mo yan or i-expand mo yan, the result is the perfect square trinomial. At if you are asked to get the factor of this one, the perfect square trinomial, the answer is this one, the square of binomials. Okay, before we proceed, let us first define what is a square root. A square root of a number is a value that, when multiplied by itself, gives the number. So I have here the example. 4 square. 4 square is equals to 4 times 4. Kumbaga, parang minultiply mo lang si 4 twice. So 4 times 4, the result is 16. So the square root of 16 is 4. Meron din isa dito, what if I have negative 4 square or negative 4 times negative 4? The answer is still 16. Kasi ang rule na multiplication, if we multiplied numbers with the same signs, the result is positive. That's why positive 16. So therefore, negative 4 is also a square root of 16. Okay, so let's go to our first example. I have here our first example. So the given is a square of binomials. Okay, so kung nakikita nyo dito, we have quantity x minus 3 square. So ito yung gagamitin natin na special formula. Diba? Yung quantity a minus b square. So dapat ang resulta is a square minus 2ab plus b square. So I have here two methods. First, this one. Ang ginawa natin dito is, this is a square of binomial. So therefore, parang in-square lang natin na isa-isa yung nasa loob ng parenthesis. So first, we have this one, x square. Ito po yun. Then, the middle term is twice the product of the binomials. First and last term. So therefore, our first term is x, our second term is 3. So therefore, we will multiply this one, x times 3. That's why we have here. And twice the product. So, kung anong resulta nito, i-multiply ng 2. That's why we have negative 2 times x times 3. Then, last term, we have negative 3 square. So, ito yun, negative 3 square. So, plus negative 3 square kasi ito yung ginagamit na pattern natin. So, simplify. So, this is x square. This is 2 times x times 3. So, 6x. And this is plus negative 3 square. So, negative 3 square, parang negative 3 times negative 3. So, the answer is positive 9. Yung pangalawang method, ito sa kabila, ginamitan natin ang FOIL method or FOIL method. First, outer, inner, last term. So, yan po yung FOIL method. So, alam natin na yung quantity x minus 3 square is para lang siyang ganito, di ba? Quantity x minus 3 times the quantity of x minus 3. Kasi this is a square of binomials. So, ginawa natin, ginamitan ng FOIL method. So, f, first term, we have here x times x, that is x squared. Then for the outer term, we have x times 3. This is negative 3, this is positive x, so therefore negative 3x. For the inner terms, we have negative 3 times x, so we have negative 3x. And for the last terms, we have negative 3 times negative 3, therefore positive 9. Combine like terms, combine natin to. Meron tayong dalawang negative 3x. Therefore, ma-add natin sila. So, ang result is x squared minus 6x plus 9. So, either of these two method ang pwede na gamitin po natin. Okay, so let's go to our next example. Example number 2. Factor x squared plus 12x plus 36. So, ang given is a perfect square trinomial. So, the question first is, does this fit the pattern of a perfect square trinomial? Yes. Why? Because if we look at the first term and the last term, they are perfect squares. Because the square root of x squared is x and the square root of 36 is 6. At kung tingnan natin yung middle term, which is 12x, positive 12x, is twice the product of x and 6. So, itong x, ito yung square root ng first term. Si 6 is the square root of the last term. So, i-multiply natin sila. That is 6x then twice the product of 6 and x, therefore 6x times 2. So the result is 12x. So yan po yung nasa middle term. Okay. Since all signs are positive, so the pattern is, ito po yung pattern ginawa na, gamitin natin kasi positive lahat yung sign. So ang pattern is quantity a plus b squared is equals to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So therefore the answer is quantity x plus 6 square. Ito po yun. Ito po yung binomial po natin. And the square root of our first term and the square root of our last term. Or quantity x plus 6 times the quantity of x plus 6. Always remember na kapag minultiply mo si x kay 6 tapos i-multiply mo ng 2, pag hindi tutugma dito sa middle term, so it means this is not a perfect square trinomial. Pero in this case, pareho sila, di ba? The product of x and 6 multiplied by 2, the result is 12x. Therefore, this one is a perfect square trinomial. Let's go to our example number 3, our last example. Supply the missing term to make a true statement. So I have here a trinomial. So this is a perfect square trinomial. We have m squared plus 12m plus 36 is equals to m plus blank square. So quantity m plus blank square. So ano po ba yung value na ilagay natin dito para maging true itong statement na to, yung m squared plus 12m plus 36. So the answer is 6. Bakit? The square root of m squared is m. The square root of 36 is 6. And the product of m and 6 times 2 is 12m.
Factoring trinomial whose leading numerical coefficient is 1. This is for grade 8 mathematics, first quarter. Before we proceed, check muna natin kung ano ba yung indication ng isang trinomial na ang kaniyang leading numerical coefficient is 1. So I have here of a trinomial whose leading numerical coefficient is 1. We have here x squared minus 3x minus 4. So we can say that this trinomial has a leading numerical coefficient 1. Bakit? Ito po yung first term natin, x squared. Kahit wala siyang katabi na numerical coefficient, ang ibig po sabihin nito, automatic na mayroong 1 na numerical coefficient. O, katulad din ito, x squared minus 9x minus 10. Ito din, x squared plus 5x minus 6. So these are the examples of a trinomial whose leading numerical coefficient is 1. To factor trinomials with 1 as the numerical coefficient of the leading term, we have to follow these 4 steps. Step 1. Factor the leading term of the trinomial and write this as the leading term of the factors. Step 2. List down all the factors of the last term. Step 3. Identify which factor pair sums up to the middle term. Then, step 4. Write factor pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. So, yan po yung 4 na steps if we factor a trinomial with 1 as the numerical coefficient of the leading term. Okay, so we will go to our first example para po mas maintindihan po natin yung 4 na steps. So I have here example number 1. This is our given, y squared plus 4y minus 21. Step 1. Factor the leading term of the trinomial and write this as the leading term of the binomial factors. So may tatlong terms po tayo. We have our first term, y squared. Second term, positive 4y. Then our last term is negative 21. So our first term is y squared. So this is a trinomial whose leading coefficient is 1. Okay? So, according to step 1, i-factor po natin ito, yung first term. So, y squared, the factor of y squared is y and y. Because y squared is the product of y multiplied by another y. So, y squared. And we will write this one as the leading term of our binomial factor. So, ito na po ang ating step 1. So, we will go to step number 2. Step number 2. List all the factors of negative 21. Here's our given, y squared plus 4y minus 21. Yung kulay blue, ito po yung nasa step 1. Diba? Nakuha na natin to. Ngayon, step 2, to kulay green. Nilagyan ko ng kulay green para mas ma-identify. So, ito po yung last term po natin. Diba? So, list all the factors of negative 21. So, I have here the factors of negative 21. We have here negative 3 and positive 7. Because if we multiply negative 3 to positive 7, the result is negative 21. And we have also negative 7 and positive 3. Negative 7 times positive 3 is still negative 21. And negative 21 and positive 1. So therefore, negative 21 times positive 1, the result is negative 21. And we have also negative 1 and positive 21. If we multiply negative 1 and positive 21, the result is still negative 21. So, ito na po yung factors ni negative 21. Let's go to step number 3. Step number 3. So, ito po yung given po natin. So, ito yung kulay blue. Nakuha na po natin to sa step 1. Itong kulay green, nakuha na natin sa step 2. Ito namang kulay pula. Ito po yung nasa step 3. Okay, step 3. Find factors of negative 21 whose sum is positive 4. Ito po yung middle term po natin na coefficient, yung positive 4. Yan. So, meron tayong 4 na factor sa negative 21. Diba? Na-list na po natin to doon sa step 2. So, nilang 4, isa lang ang factor ni negative 21 na if we add that 2, the result is positive 4. So, nilang 4, ito lang si negative 3 and positive 7. Na if we add these 2, the result is positive 4. So, ito po yung gagamitin natin sa step number 4. Okay, so we will go to step number 4. Step number 4. So, ito po yung given natin. Y squared plus 4y minus 21. Step 4, write factor pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. Okay, so from step 1, ito po yung nakuha natin sa step 1. Diba? The factor of our first term or the leading term. Then sa step 2, nilist po natin yung lahat ng factor or lahat ng factors ni negative 21. And sa step 3, na-identify po natin kung alin sa lahat ng factors ni negative 21 na if we add that 2, ang result is itong middle term na positive 4, yung numerical coefficient po ng middle term. So, na-identify na po natin si negative 3 and positive 7. Sa step 4, write factor pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. Ito si negative 3 at saka si positive 7, sila po yung last term sa ating binomial factors. So, naging quantity y minus 3, ito po yun, negative 3, times quantity y plus 7. So, ito po yun si positive 7. So, itong dalawang y, galing po to sa step 1. Itong si negative 3 and positive 7, ito po yung result ng step 2 at saka step 3. So therefore, our answer is the factor of y squared plus 4y minus 21 is quantity y minus 3 times the quantity y plus 7. At kung gagamitan natin to ng FOIL method, itong quantity y minus 3 times quantity y plus 7, ang result po nito ay babalik po tayo dito sa original equation nga y squared plus 4y minus 21. So this is our second and last example. We have here the given x squared plus 7x plus 10. So this is a trinomial whose leading numerical coefficient is 1. Ito po yun, x squared. Okay, so step 1, i-factor po natin yung first term. So x squared, the factor of x squared is x and x, because x squared is the product of x multiplied by another x. Step 2, list all the factors of positive 10, which is our last term. So ito na po yon, yung factors ni positive 10. We have here positive 5 and positive 2. If we multiply positive 5 and positive 2, the result is positive 10. And negative 5 and negative 2. Diba? Negative times negative, the result is positive. So therefore, positive 10. We have also positive 10 and positive 1. Still, the result is positive 10. And we have also negative 10 and negative 1. Still, the result is positive 10. Okay, so okay na po yung step 2. Step 3. So, i-identify po natin kung saan sa kanilang apat na if we add that 2 factor, ang result is yung numerical coefficient ng ating middle term na si positive 7. So, therefore, nilang apat, ito lang si positive 5 and positive 2. Na if we add these 2, the result is positive 7. So, yan po yung step 3 po natin. Ito. Therefore, sa step 4, yung result ng step 3, sila po yung gagamitin natin na last term sa ating binomial factors. So, ito na po yung ating final answer. So, therefore, the factor of x squared plus 7x plus 10 is quantity x plus 5 times the quantity of x plus 2. At kung gagamitan natin to ng FOIL method, babalik po tayo dito sa ating original na equation. So therefore, ang ibig sabihin, tama po yung sagot natin.
Factoring general quadratic trinomial. This is for grade 8 mathematics, first quarter. So to factor a trinomial in a form of ax squared plus bx plus c, with a is not equal to 1, and where x is our variable, and a, b, and c are non-zero constants. So, kinulayan ko po ng blue, pula at saka green para po mas ma-identify po natin. So, the constant a is called the leading coefficient, b is called the linear coefficient, and c is called the additive constant. So, in other words, our a is our leading coefficient. So, andyan po siya sa ating first term. So, yung b po natin, yung kulay pula, our middle term. And our c is the last term. Always remember this form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. In factoring quadratic trinomial, we have to remember these 2 steps on how to factor quadratic trinomials. First, for step number 1, list down the factors of the first and last term. So, ito po yung first term natin, ax squared, and our last term is c. So, i-factor po natin si ax squared. List po natin ang lahat ng factor nating first term at saka kay last term. Step number 2, test the possibilities to see which arrangement produces the correct linear terms. So, makabuo po tayo ng possible factors. Tapos, iti-test po natin kung saan sa kanila ang mag-produce ng correct linear term. In other words, our middle term. Okay, so let's go to our example number 1 para mas maintindihan po natin yung steps on how to factor general quadratic trinomial. So I have here the given 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. Ito po yung form, di ba? Ax squared plus bx plus c. Ito po si a. Our a is 2, our b is 11, and our c is 5. Step number 1. List down the factors of the first and last term. Our first term is 2x squared and our last term is 5. The factors of 2x squared is 2x and x. Then the factors of 5 is 1 and 5. Well, 1 times 5 is equal to 5. 2x times x is equal to 2x squared. Again po yung step number 1. Let's go to step number 2. Step number 2 po natin. Ito po yung given 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. Test the possibilities to see which arrangement produces the correct linear term. So ito po yung possible arrangement po natin. Meron po tayong quantity 2x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 5. Yung isa is quantity x plus 1 times the quantity 2x plus 5. Ito si 2x at saka si x, sila po yung factors ni 2x squared. Si 1 at saka si 5, sila po yung factors ni positive 5. Same also sa kabila. Si x at saka si 2x, factors ni 2x squared. 1 at saka si 5, factors ni positive 5. So, i-test po natin sila. Itong dalawang possible arrangement kung saan sa kanila ang makaproduce ng linear term o yung middle term po natin. Okay, so ang ginamit ko is meron akong tinatawag na outer terms at saka inner terms para mas madali. So, ang outer terms po natin sa ating possible factors na nandito, ito po si 2x at saka si 5. So, multiply po natin yung outer terms. 2x times 5, the result is 10x. Yung inner terms po natin is 1 and x. 1 times x is 1x or x. So, we have 10x plus x. So, pwede po natin sila ma-add. So, 10x plus x is equal to 11x. Sa kabila naman, mayroon tayong outer term na x and 5. So, x times 5 is 5x. Inner terms is 1 times 2x. The result is 2x. So, combine po natin sila. 5x plus 2x. The result is 7x. So, sa kanilang dalawang possible factors natin, itong arrangement na to na nag-produce ng ating linear term na 11x, which is our middle term. So, ito po yung gagamitin natin na sagot. So, therefore, the factor of 2x squared plus 11x plus 5 is quantity 2x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 5. So, i-check po natin kung tama po ba yung sagot natin using the FOIL method. So, first, we have 2x times x is equal to 2x squared. That's for the first term, f. O, outer terms, we have 2x and 5. So, 2x times 5 is equal to 10x. I, inner terms, 1 and x. 1 times x, the result is 1x or x. L, our last terms, we have 1 and 5. 1 times 5 is equal to positive 5. So, we have like terms here, 10x and x. So, pwede po natin silang ma-add. So, 10x plus x is equal to 11x. So, which is, bumalik po tayo sa ating original na equation na 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So, therefore, tama po yung sagot natin na ang factor ni 2x squared plus 11x plus 5 is 2x, quantity 2x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 5. We will go to our second example. Our second example, ang given is 2k squared minus 11k plus 12. So, first step, list down the factors of our first term and our last term. So, these are the factors of 2k squared and these are the factors of positive 12. Yes, that's for our step number 1. Step number 2, iti-test po natin kung saan ang possible na arrangement na pwede natin magamit na mag-produce ng linear term na negative 11k, which is our middle term. So sa lahat ng factors ni 2k squared at saka ni 12, ito lang na arrangement na to ang pwede natin magamit. 2k and k, sa kay 12 naman is negative 3 and negative 4. So 2k and k will be our leading term sa ating binomial factors, and negative 3 and negative 4 will be our last term sa ating binomial factors. So therefore, gagamitan natin ng outer terms at saka inner terms to check kung mag-produce ba siya ng 11 or negative 11k, which is our middle term. So 2k times negative 4, the result is negative 8k. Negative 3 times k, the result is negative 3k. So pwede natin sila ma-add. The result is negative 11k. So therefore, the factor of 2k squared minus 11k plus 12 is quantity 2k minus 3 times the quantity k minus 4. So to check this one, para ma-check po natin kung tama po ba yung sagot natin, we will use again the FOIL method. So f, for our first terms, we have 2k and k. 2k times k, the result is 2k squared. O, outer terms, 2k and 4. 2k times 4, this is negative 4, so therefore our answer is negative 8k. Then I, inner terms, we have negative 3 and k. So negative 3 times k, the result is negative 3k. Then last terms, we have negative 3 and negative 4. So negative 3 times negative 4, the result is positive 12. Combine like terms, we have negative 8k and negative 3k. So the result is negative 11k. So bumalik po tayo dun sa ating original equation na 2k squared minus 11k plus 12. So therefore, yung sagot natin, ang factor ng 2k squared minus 11k plus 12 na quantity 2k minus 3 times the quantity k minus 4 is correct.
So that's all for today, at sana meron po kayong natutunan. And for those who want a soft copy sa ating topic ngayon, andyan po sa description ng video na to yung email address ko. Feel free to message me. See you in my next video.